Take 10, breathe in, let the healing begin. Open your mind and find strength from within. Welcome to the therapist, Felisha Podcast.
Here we go. We'll give y'all time to get on here. Music is a very healthy coping skill, right? Hey, we're just giving everybody a little time to get on here. Yes, music is a very healthy coping skill, y'all. I know it's hump day and it's been raining all day here. It's a good time to just listen to some music. All right, you guys, welcome to the Therapist Felisha podcast. I'm your host, Therapist Felisha, and this is the home of the Take 10 Challenge. And this is also where we spread mental health awareness 1 10-minute episode at a time. So I hope you guys are doing okay today. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are all about spreading mental health awareness, and we are all about kind of correcting misinformation. You know, all those things that people say about mental health that's not really true. So today I want to bring you the correct information. And so I'm going to be asking questions, okay? And we're going to be playing a game of mental health, fact or fiction. And what that consists of is me asking you a question and you telling me whether you think this is fact or fiction. So I hope you guys are ready because we got a game ahead of us, and we're gonna clarify some misunderstandings. Okay, that's the goal of this, right? To get rid of stigma, right? And to just know the truth so we can spread awareness. So I'm gonna ask you the first question, and you tell me is it fact or is it fiction? Addiction is a chronic brain disease. Is it fact or is it fiction? You tell me. Is it fact or fiction? Addiction is a chronic brain disease. Is it fact or is it fiction? All right, you guys. If you said fact, then you are 100% right. You know, because I know a lot of people think addiction is a choice, but it can start off as a choice, but then lead to a disease. Kind of like how if you eat the wrong food, you can get high blood pressure, you know, or if you smoke cigarettes, you can get lung cancer. So addiction is a bad choice that leads to a disease. Now, this is what many people don't understand about the disease of addiction, y'all. Okay? Addiction happens When the reward and pleasure system, it hijacks the brain and it shuts down the prefrontal cortex. And this is the part of the brain where you think clear, make rational decisions. It shuts it down. And then what it does, it triggers the stress response system. And then, so that means when you don't get your drug of choice or your substance, then you're going to be triggered and then it's going to be overwhelming for you. And also, another role that plays in here is something that's called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is the part of the brain that remembers everything. So that's why you're triggered and you have cravings. This is what's going on. Let me show you a picture of that real fast before we move on to the next question. You see that? This is that prefrontal cortex. This right here, the basal ganglia, this is basically the reward and pleasure system. And it's responsible for motivation, movement, routine, but it takes over and it shuts down that prefrontal cortex and activate that amygdala. So that's when people have withdrawals and stuff. So that's why it's important for you to understand that. So you can understand that it's a disease and not a choice, and yeah, not it may start off as a choice, but it'll stay a choice. But anyway, so that is really true about the disease of addiction. So did you say it was a fact or did you say fiction? I need y'all commenting. Okay. Fact or fiction? Okay. Question number 2, fact or fiction? Bipolar disorder is simply someone being moody or emotional. And they just switch moods every 5 minutes. What is that, you guys? I need y'all to answer. What do you guys believe? Is that fact or is that fiction about bipolar? Haven't you heard people call people bipolar, or they might say, hey, this person is acting bipolar. But what is really bipolar? So why are you guys thinking about that? I'm going to let you know what it is. Okay, so bipolar itself is named after the North Pole and the South Pole. There are bipolars and they're polar opposites. And so with bipolar, there's episodes of mania, episodes of depression, and then bipolar 2 is episodes of hypomania and depression. So it's more than just somebody switching up moods and attitudes and personalities. It's not that. But people use that wrong. What do you guys think about that? Did you know that bipolar was more than simply being moody or emotional? Okay. Yes, you guys. All right. The next question. Fact or fiction? Anxiety can cause physical symptoms even when there is no real danger present. Think about that. Anxiety. How many of you guys know about social anxiety? Right? You may feel anxiety and you may go in, there's no real danger, but you're simply going into a place where there's a lot of people, and you feel uncomfortable. And you may have anxiety. Now, is that anxiety? Is it only mental or is it physical as well? And even when there is no real danger present. So you guys tell me, true or false? What do you think? I'm going to look in the comments and see what. Okay. Fiction. I got, okay, I got that. I see Sabrina. Yes, it's the fact. I see Katina, my sis, and Anissa. Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, but that is so very true. Okay, and let me give you some symptoms of anxiety. We got chest tightening, shaking, sweating, nausea, rapid heartbeat. Do you guys ever felt anxious? And I know me, when I have anxiety, I feel it in my stomach. I do. And some people feel it in their chest, headaches. So it's important that we know what anxiety is so we won't be judging people because they're going through a situation where they feel anxious or they have generalized anxiety disorder. And we'll go deeper into that next time because I'm going to do more information about the type of mental health disorders because I want y'all to know that too. So let's look at the next one. Depression always look like sadness and crying. This is easy one, y'all. I know y'all know that one, right? Right. Depression does not always look like sadness. Y'all seen that commercial where that woman is holding that sign up in front of her with a smiley face and she going to work and doing everything? It's masking. But depression doesn't always look like that. And another example is y'all remember Robin Williams? I used to love Robin Williams, Mr. Doubtfire, and to find out that he actually committed suicide, you never really know, okay? So just because somebody's happy doesn't mean that, or showing happy doesn't mean that they're not depressed, okay? Yes, yes, okay. Yep, I see Katina and Sabrina got that one, okay? And okay, now some signs of depression is irritability, anger, emotional numbness, exhaustion. We need to know this because if we start feeling that way, we won't judge ourselves because a lot of people think that depression means crazy. When in all actuality, depression is real. Depression happens when we lose someone. Depression happens when we lose a job. Depression, there is also biological components that add to depression. So everybody that's depressed is not going to walk around, with a dark cloud over them. Okay. Ooh, this one is real good right here. People with addiction should be able to just stop. How many times y'all heard somebody say that? Put it in the comments if you heard somebody say, why don't they stop? They don't care about their family. They don't care about their kids. They don't care about anything. They should just stop. If you heard that before, put it in the comments. Because addiction is so much more complex than just willpower, right? When someone becomes addicted, the brain changes. They have cravings, they have coping patterns, emotional pain, and withdrawal symptoms that make recovery difficult. So it would be so good if people understand that because we can reach out and help people who have the disease of addiction instead of judging them, right? And think about all those movies that talk about addiction and they make addiction look bad, which is addiction is bad, but we need to learn how to help our family and friends who are addicts instead of just judging them. Okay. And I told y'all earlier, addiction is a chronic disease of the brain, right? It's not a choice. So um you need to understand that in the hippocampus, the part of the brain that controls the memory, that is why they have cravings, right? Because they remember how it felt when they were addicted. They remember, how emotionally how they felt and how it got rid of some of their negative emotions. So that's why it is very important to understand that. Now, many individuals who use substances, they use it to numb trauma, cope with anxiety, escape from emotional pain, manage stress. So yes, there is several reasons why someone may become addicted, but we don't need to judge. Now, what about this one right here? This next one, y'all. Fact or fiction? People with anxiety are just overreacting. I don't know about y'all, but I know when I have anxiety, I ain't overreacting. Okay. And it's so frustrating when people think that, right? Because it's more than that. Because you're having thoughts that increase your anxiety, you're having feelings that increase your anxiety, whether it's, like I said, in your chest or in your stomach or whatever. And when someone doesn't understand and they say, calm down, what's wrong with you? No, that's not okay, you guys. Um, People with anxiety are not just overreacting. Uh, Anxiety disorders involve real nervous system. When I talked about that amygdala, I was talking about earlier how um, the amygdala is triggered. So with anxiety, the stress response system is really heightened. You know, uh, you guys fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn is that one we don't ever talk about. That's the people pleasing. But anyway, we'll go there next time. But anxiety is not just overacting, it's real. People feel it mentally, people feel it physically. And it's not okay for us to judge. And it consists of racing thoughts, overthinking, panic, sleep problems, difficulty concentrating, physical symptoms, all of that. That is really true about anxiety. And so it hurts when somebody judges someone for having that. So just think about that, okay? The next one, you guys, what about this one, you guys? Okay. Panic attacks can feel similar to heart attacks. Is that is that fact or fiction? I'll let you guys tell me. What do you guys think first before I jump out there? Is it a fact or fiction that panic attacks can feel similar to heart attacks? Have you ever known someone that had a panic attack and went to the doctor and they really, really, really thought that something was wrong, but they had a panic attack? A panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear, and it triggers strong emotional and physical symptoms. So, yes, it can feel like you're having a heart attack. In fact, it can even make you believe that you're going to die. This is really serious. So when someone has a panic attack, don't judge them. You know, what they need is calmness and mindfulness, and to know that they're in a safe place and that they're safe. Not judgment, because they are not crazy. They are having a panic attack with chest pain, rapid heartbeat, dizziness, shaking, numbness. Many people experience panic attacks. They believe, like I said, they have medical emergencies, and they are in the emergency room, and they think that. So think about that before you judge somebody. Okay. So now the next one, fact or fiction. I'm sorry. Someone can appear successful and still struggle with mental health issues. You guys, how many times have you say, "Oh, that person works here, that person does this, or that person, they can't be, they can't have a mental health issues"? Well, let me tell you this. As a therapist, some of my clients are doctors, lawyers, CEOs, engineers. Okay. So that doesn't mean that just because you're successful that you can't struggle with mental illness. Mental illness can happen to anybody. Okay, whether you're a preacher or a therapist or judge, it can happen to anybody. Okay, so many high functioning individuals, they actually struggle with anxiety, depression, addiction, trauma, burnout. Okay, so I'm almost finished, y'all. Okay, I know this is a little lengthy, but the next one is number 9. It says trauma and addiction are often connected. Is that fact or fiction? Is trauma and addiction often connected? Does If you experience a lot of trauma in your life, are you more likely, or is it the chances raised where you could possibly become addicted? Okay, you guys. Many individuals use substance or unhealthy coping behaviors to numb emotional pain. They also they use it because to manage trauma, anxiety, grief, shame, or stress. Trauma can affect your nervous system. I keep on saying the amygdala. Y'all remember on the very first episode when I talked about old childhood survival strategies? Yes. So those things can affect your nervous system and your emotional regulation, your coping skills, your self-worth, your attachment patterns, which we are going to have a whole episode about patterns, and your stress response system. Okay. And this is number 10, y'all. And after this, I'm going to show y'all this website that y'all can use, and it's free. And it got 40 different coping skills on there. So we almost done. This is a little lengthy today, but we need to share this stuff, okay? So number 10 says recovery from addiction and mental illness is possible. If you know that, that was an easy one. You probably already know it is. It is definitely possible if someone works hard and they really want to get the help that they need. And so, yes. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys, okay, is let me see. I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Here we go. Sure. Okay. So there's this lady named Dr. Marsha Linehan. She was given a task to come up with a therapeutic modality that helped people who actually deal with things like emotional dysregulation. And the interesting thing about Dr. Linehan is that not only was she a doctor, but she also has borderline personality disorder. So she used her life experience and her education to come up with dialectical behavior therapy. Now, don't get me wrong, dialectical behavior therapy, it is not only for people with borderline personality disorder. It's also for people who have anxiety, depression, substance use, self-harming, ADHD, borderline personality disorder, eating disorders. So this has become useful. And so, okay, now the thing about this is very helpful, but she put coping skills in like four different categories. One, mindfulness. Mindfulness is tools that help you control or manage your stress response system, right? It helps you calm your stress response system. That's what I was trying to say. Yes. And this is 10 different skills that you can use to help you calm your stress response system. And this is free, y'all. Okay. And then the next one is called distress tolerance. These skills teach you how to tolerate stress when your stress is heightened. One of my favorite ones is radical acceptance because I often ask, you can ask yourself, I often ask myself, what is it that I don't approve of? It ain't fair, but I have to accept to navigate through. Accept doesn't mean it's okay. Accept meaning I don't have no control over that situation. But these are some really good ones. And then the next one is emotion regulation. These are tools to help you regulate your emotions. And right here, the one of my favorite one in here is balancing emotional urges. We call that opposite action. If any of you guys have ever dealt with depression, then you know what it's like to be depressed and not want to get up and not want to go and get things done. You don't have that, and even your body feels tired. So balanced emotional urges teaches us to do the opposite of how we feel, right? And an example of that is say, would be like, okay, I don't want to get up, but I'm going to get up for 30 minutes nonstop. And then I can sit back down. Okay. Because if you ever had depression, it's not easy. So, yes, that's my favorite one. Okay. And the last one, and then I'm going to let you go because I know I've had you over for a while. But the last one is called interpersonal effectiveness skills. And these skills teach you how to communicate what you want, what you need, and how you feel. Yeah, I actually use these skills my own self to help me get a raise on a job. And then I left for a better job. But anyway, but it got me what I wanted. So there's several different skills. And it teaches you how to set boundaries, how to be assertive. And you know what, you guys? Let me see. Right here, let's just say we go to that. I told y'all my favorite one was radical acceptance. We click on here and look, you go all the way down. There's a video that shows you about radical acceptance. Okay. And it teaches you how. And if you go off, it teaches you coping statements. These are my favorite right here, these coping statements. They are really good. And you guys, it goes all the way down to a virtual coach. So let's just say, okay, no thanks. Okay. Oh, let's just say you guys, okay, well, it went away for some reason. Okay, let's just say though, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, and I'm not telling you to lean on this, especially if it's emergency, you need to go to a hospital or talk to somebody. But if it's just some things that you need to talk about or you want to feel heard, you can kind of work through with these. is kind of this can help you, and you can actually talk to kind of like Chat GPT, but it's Chat DBT. But it can help you, and you can help navigate through those difficult times. Now, this is not a replacement for therapy. It is not a replacement. If you having suicidal ideations, you need to go get the help that you need. So I just want to say that, okay? But this is just a tool that can help you navigate through. So, what do you guys think about think about this? I have really enjoyed this, and I hope that you have too. And I look forward to talking with you again next week, where we're going to continue learning about coping skills and more. Okay, so thanks so much for taking 10 with me, and actually you took probably 20 something minutes with me. But guys, I just want to make sure that you guys understand. So I am going to let you go for now. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we take 10 again. Bye bye.
Thanks for taking 10 with me. Now reflect and share and let your mind be free. See you next week, and we'll take 10 again. Tell all your family, coworkers, and friends. Take 10. The Therapist Felisha Podcast. Thanks for taking 10 with